Hi guys, welcome back and welcome to episode 3 of PCTV. You might remember in the first episode that we filmed that not only did we want to use this channel to promote our next sale, the Perfection Collection sale on the 25th of April in 2020, we also wanted to use this channel, PCTV, as a way to connect people in the industry, a way to share knowledge, to learn new ideas, and to bring people together that can share knowledge to help us become better at what we do. And we were really thrilled that after the last episode of PCTV, we were approached by somebody from Premier Nutrition. Now, they had heard the videos that we've already done and they liked the idea. They wanted to get behind us and support it. And so we're really pleased that Mark Hall from Premier Nutrition was able to catch up with us. And last weekend, Richard and Mark went to visit one of Premier's clients in Market Drayton in Shropshire. And the next part of this video will just tell you a little bit about what they were able to discuss on farm that day.
Okay, so I'm here at Oakley Park Farm with farm manager John Barber, but we're also joined by Mark Hall from Premier Nutrition, and this week we'll be discussing the issue of transition. It's extremely important that the dairy cows are transitioning well, as it can result in a higher peak yield of milk, which in turn will result in a greater bottom line for dairy farmers. Before we actually explore the issue of transition, John will just give us a bit of an introduction into the farm.
Yeah, we took the farm on in the October of 2015 all year round, and then we've literally this year just gone to an autumn block system. So for us, getting the transition right for the autumn is going to be a major thing, and that's where Mark comes in, the Premier Nutrition really.
So here we are with some of the cows here at Oakley Park Farm, and we, in the introduction, loosely talked about the transition management service that is provided by Premier Nutrition here on this farm. So Mark, what is it that you're actually collecting on farm?
So literally every month we're looking at everything 30 days pre and 30 days post calving, with body condition scoring everything, with rumen fill scoring everything, we label score hog hygiene, and we look at incidence of disease, so your trichosis, ketosis, milk fetus, whatever it might be. For us, we've got millions of lines of data now. We're running it for 6 years on roughly 70,000 cows all over the country. The conclusions we're now starting to pull out have got some real weight behind them. It's the biggest data set of its type in the world. For instance, we just pulled out a piece of work we did just before Christmas, looking at rumen fill in dry cows. This is the difference between a dry cow with a rumen fill of 2 and a dry cow with a rumen fill of 5 was almost 4 litres of milk on peak lactation. So it's a huge amount of milk we're talking about just on dry cow rumen fill alone in that period of time there. Small changes. You don't have to go and spend thousands on a new dry cow shed or thousands on a new feed additive. This is literally pushing feed up in front of your cows, getting your dry cow ration presentation right. Simple things that we can do that all add up to a considerable amount of litres in the long run.
Simple things that, like you say, they add litres and ultimately add profits at the bottom line.
Yeah.
So how is it that you're actually physically collecting the data? Like you mentioned rumen fill, how are you measuring that?
Yeah, so rumen fill literally is just a visual assessment. So we take this cow here, for example. Obviously we're on the wrong side of it. Rumen filling should be done on the left-hand side of a cow, but it is literally that space between the hooks on the back and the short ribs there, that triangular space. If it's concave, then she's empty, she's a 1 or a 2. If it's nice and convex and bulging out the side, she's going to be a 4 or a 5. It's the simplest thing in the world to do rumen filling cows, and it can pay huge dividends. We're literally just wandering past your dry cow and taking a quick glance at what's going on there. So it's a real big one that we put a lot of focus on, because we can link it back to almost every metabolic incident, milk fevers, LDAs, etc. The amount of people that get dry cow rations wrong in this country is quite amazing, because I don't think, as an industry, our side of the industry, we're not particularly good at getting the message across sometimes of how important that dry cow ration actually is. So it's often not focused on as much as we'd like it to be. We're trying to change that going forward. It's one of the things we really want to focus on, getting dry cows right, hopefully hit the ground running as fresh cows, and we can eliminate as many problems as possible.
And you also mentioned obviously collecting data on disease, for example metritis and that sort of thing. you collecting that from the farmers themselves, from the farmers' records on farm records?
Yeah, so we are collecting that from farmers' records. It does rely on honesty for a lot of our farms. The amount of data we've got now, we know who's lying to us and who's telling the truth. I don't want to say lying, lying's probably the wrong word, but maybe just forgetting the odd issue or two. We also rely on milk records for looking at things like ketosis levels and acidosis levels. We also like to look at milk ureas, fats, proteins, milk yields, all these sorts of things as well, to give us a complete picture of what's going on in that transition phase there.
So quite reliant on farm records, whether they be kept by the farm themselves or through the milk recording agencies and that sort of thing.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, we've got three avenues really. There's our assessors on farm, who are on farm every single month. They'll come on body condition score, come room and fill, do all the physical stuff there and then. We then rely on the farmer's own records to keep milk fevers, LDAs, incidents, etc. And then the third one is obviously the milk recording. So we've got two aspects there that you certainly can't argue with. The stuff that the assessors are seeing on farm, they literally score what they see. They're not biased at all. They literally score what they see. And the milk records, you could argue that yes, people do things with milk records to make them look slightly different than they actually are maybe. But we've certainly got two pieces of the puzzle there that are pretty rock solid. Even if we were to have a farm that may forget a cow's had a case of milk fever or forget an LDA or whatever it might be, we try and measure as many things as possible to try and eliminate as much variation as we
Good.
can.
Okay, Ross?
Okay.
Okay, so Mark, you collect all this data through TMS. How do you bring value back to your customers like John?
So the big thing about TMS, data is only as good as what you do with it. I think we're very guilty on farm of collecting a lot of data, not necessarily doing a great deal with it a lot of the time. I know a lot of our guys, the sole purpose of milk recording for them is to look at cell counts. They don't do anything else with the data there. So what we try and do with TMS, the girls are obviously out every month, and they'll give the farmers a brief overview of what they've seen. And then every quarter, depending on the herd, depending on the calving pattern, we try and sit down and have a catch up with people and actually go through all of the individual points. We collect 39 different data points now, try and go through each individual one, set some targets, and see where we're actually going to go for the rest of the year, the winter and spring, whatever it needs for that particular unit. So yeah, we put a big focus on really trying to use the data and actually impart the knowledge to the farm and the nutritionists. We work with a lot of the nutritionists, like Phil, for instance.
Yeah. It's quite important to bring that extended team into the business and work together as a team for the benefit of the business, isn't it?
Massively, yeah. I mean, John's got 4 or 5 different people coming down the drive otherwise telling him 4 or 5 different things. Yeah. It's a nightmare from a management point of view. Who do you listen to? You take 50% of what he's saying, 25% of what he's saying, and somewhere in the middle you come up with 80%, and you know, that's it really. So you've got to have everyone around the table having that discussion really, and get everyone on the same page. That's my team.
So what would be your team here then, John? Who what roles are influencing you and influencing your decisions here on the farm?
Probably one is probably a little bit of experience myself really of what we've done in the past. Mark, one of the girls actually as well from who come out and score, because you know they're seeing the cows day in day out, so you know, quiz them, ask them what is going on. And it's also working with Phil as well from HJ, and it's just kind of like we're all linking together, but it's kind of, we try and work that actually if it's not broke we don't try and fix it really. But this time it's probably a little bit more different because we want to try and, instead of feeding all hay in the dry cow period, just actually grow some standing hay, try it on that. But then that's where it leads us into the fact we need to condition score the cows properly, and then we can allocate them differently for where they need to go really.
Yeah, I think one of the big things that we're focusing on here over the winter, we were just saying about condition score in dry cows there. Fat dry cows are just as much of a problem as thin dry cows. So thin and fat dry cows, they're an absolute nightmare. Everyone knows that fat dry cows are an issue. Yeah, it's very obvious that they go from a condition score of 4 to a condition score of 2.5, and quite quickly in some cases. With the thinner cows, the problem with them is they've not got the external body weight to lose. So from a condition scoring point of view, they're a nightmare, because she might go from a 2.5 to a 2.25 because she's not got any external fat to lose. Internally, that animal is screaming. She's mobilising a lot of internal fat. Those are the ones we really need to focus on. I think previously we've literally just focused on the fat dry cow, give her a Kextone bolus, put her in a special pen, whatever it might be. We're really now trying to put the emphasis on some of these thinner cows as well, because those girls are really needing a bit of extra help to get through that period. So it's one thing we're going to do here. I think Bethan's coming end of June, is it?
I think so, yeah.
End of June, yeah, to condition score basically everything. And see who needs to go where, who needs to put on a bit of extra condition, who could maybe do losing a bit of condition, sort of group cows accordingly.
Now we've gone to the block, true block, we need to, I'd rather take the hit on the milk now to get the cows in correct condition for going into the winter to hopefully increase my fertility and everything else that goes along with it, really.
Right, whenever you're ready.
Okay, so in terms of the cow's diet, particularly the dry cows, what in your opinion makes a good dry cow ration?
Good question. Really depends on what you're aiming for and your system. So the classic nutritionist response, it massively varies from farm to farm. Personally, for all of my higher yielding chaps, the house units, I would be headed down the route of a reasonably high straw ration. We're talking anywhere from 3 to 6 kilos of straw, chopped well. I mean, I've never seen straw over processed. It's got to be, a sort of an inch or less. The old muzzle width argument has gone out the window many years ago. But on top of that, you've got to feed them as well. Again, my highest yielding unit, we'd be feeding upwards of 6 kilos of concentrate to dry cows. Bear in mind, those are cows that are going on to give 60, 70, 80 litres as a herd average at roughly 200 days of milk, averaging 46 litres a day. So it's a huge amount of milk. I think a lot of people are often a bit afraid of feeding dry cows for one reason or another, but providing you keep the lid on energy, which is the first one we're looking at, you've got to keep the lid on energy there. You can actually get a very good dry cow ration in place for these girls. Once you get the lid on energy, it's then about looking at constituents. So levels of metabolizable protein, crude protein levels, starch and sugar levels, how much forage they're actually eating. 6 kilos of forage NDF is the golden figure. If we can get that into them as dry cows, they'll eat it as fresh cows. For your more block calving type systems, again, completely depends on what we're looking for. For John this year, potentially looking at a bit of hay going in there. It really will depend on analyses of forages and how they come back as to how much of what we can actually feed. Personally, for me, I do like a reasonably high fibre diet with a level of decad in there, depending on what forages you've got on farm. Most of my guys would be partial decad rather than a complete full decad, but if we can find any way of actually adding calcium in to a dry cow ration, that pays huge dividends as fresh cows. Because calcium is involved in just about every physiological function of the body. It's smooth muscle tone, it's expelling metritis, it's getting rid of that retained cleansing, literally everything. If we get calcium status wrong, we get a whole host of problems. So if we can actually add calcium in, it's amazing how much cows actually eat, how much more they milk when they do actually have that calf.
Okay, and then we've got the diet right. John, environment's very important for a cow, especially during the transition period. What steps have you seen or heard about and even implemented here on the farm to provide the best possible environment for that transition period?
Normally when we dry cows off, we normally try and put them in a bit more of a sheltered environment, because they kind of like lounge around a lot, so we're trying to give them a little bit of shade, but not too much really. But then once they come into the calving groups, they tend to be either on a bare paddock feeding hay, straw, or this time a little bit of standing hay. But then it's just hopefully they're on course then to actually come in, go straight to the the silage barrier and be able to literally eat as much as we can physically put out in front of them. So our golden rule is if we can push it up 3 if not 4 times a day to them, literally just pushing it up, it just pays dividends for the amount of forage that they'll actually eat.
Yeah. I mean that's a massive one. You say push-ups is the simplest thing in the world to increase. Even if you can increase it 1 or 2 times a day. I think there was a nice new piece of research that came out of the States that suggested 4 times in the first 2 hours was the sort of golden rule. A lot of people wouldn't be pushing up once, maybe even twice a day. If you can just push up 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 times a day, it makes a huge difference. Cows are curious, if anything. You push feed up, they think you're bringing them something new, so they come and investigate what it is. It's amazing how much intake to shoot up.
And probably trough space as well. We've evaluated this time, and going all autumn, we know we haven't got enough trough space. So we've had to implement now more so we can actually feed the cows more. So simply we've just been able to put more bunker space out for feeding more cows.
Yeah, I mean, massive one. Right, we're coming back to the rumour fill point. Push-ups, trough space, feed barrier height. It all plays a huge role in getting maximum intakes into our dry cows and our fresh cows. I can put a 50 litre ration in front of cows. It doesn't mean they're going to give 50 litres. You can't get to it. We're sort of pushing water uphill a bit.
And to finish off, contact details will be available for Premier Nutrition at the end of the video. But just to finish off, guys, what are some key points that our viewers at home can implement in their farming businesses today to help their cows transition better?
I think the big ones for me this year, we saw a lot of impact on heat stress. I think it's one of those things that's grossly underestimated in the UK. A day like today, I think it's 19 degrees and probably 60-70% humidity. Even on a day like today, cows are going to be getting heat stress. That's a really important one. I don't think we've put enough emphasis on it as an industry. It's a real problem. The data we're pulling out from TMS would suggest cows are heat stressed for up to 7 or even 8 months of the year. So that's a really important one. The more we can do to improve that cow comfort, as John already said, with feed barrier heights, push-ups, cow space, social interactions, all these different things, is only going to reduce that stress and help cows get over this next summer period and hopefully get firing on all cylinders into the winter.
Definitely. Probably for me, it's a simple thing. It's just condition score your cows. Just go and condition score them and look at them. If you think they're too bit thin and they're close to drying off, well, dry them off. Take that hit in the milk, because it'll actually pay dividends in the future. Without a shadow of a doubt, it'll pay you back.
Yeah,
definitely
agree with that.
Cool. Well, thank you very much.
No.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate your time.
We really hope that you enjoyed listening to this episode as much as we enjoyed filming it. Don't forget to join us in a fortnight again for episode 4 of PCTV. In the meantime, subscribe to our channel, click the bell to receive updates on any new updates on the channel. Don't forget to follow our socials, and if you want to get in touch, please send us a message. Thanks for watching PCTV.